What I'm going to show you now is how few people wear fluoro clothing during the morning rush hour or the peak hour. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ride down to the Narrows Bridge and head towards south towards the Canning Bridge. And I think this is the busiest commuter route coming into the Perth CBD. I'm not sure about that, I'd have to check the numbers, but it's certainly a pretty busy route. So this is where we're going to go from the Perth CBD heading down towards that bridge. We're not going to go down to the appendix or whatever further down. And just have a look at how many people are wearing bright fluoro stuff on this this ride. And I've cut out all the dead bits in between because we don't need to see that. But one thing that really struck me when I first got here in mid-December, when I went for one of my first rides, was I found it really shocking how few people even had lights on their bikes early in the morning. Like, there were these pelotons of people out riding on the roads, and a whole bunch of them didn't have lights, and they had no fluoro kit on. And I was thinking, are these people absolutely bonkers? Riding around in dark kit, no lights, what's going on? And you can see from the lighting on this video is not the greatest, and these people are probably a little bit dark. Well, their clothing at least anyway. It was a gloomy day and it's 6:40 in the morning, so yeah, not the best conditions for filming, but it was a very busy morning, so I thought it would give us a lot of people so we could see what a large number of them are wearing. And so far you might have seen a couple of people go past in kind of fluoro kit, but apart from this kind of over 55 cycling group, which I've seen a number of times because they've got jerseys which say Perth over 55 cycling group on the back, they're the only people so far I've seen who are wearing fluoro vests. I mean, it's too hot to wear a vest over here at the moment anyway, but the typical kind of thing you see in Sydney with people commuting, and I have one myself, is you go and buy a fluoro vest, and when it's a bit cooler and you need it as a windbreaker or to keep the rain off, you put this thing over the top of your cycling kit, and it's quite good. It's keeps you warm and dry, well, kind of dry, and also hopefully makes you quite visible. But what you can probably see from this stream of people going past in the other direction, that's just doesn't exist here for commuters in the morning. And in fact, one thing you might notice is the proliferation of dark kit, like black. There's just no attempt made to have bright colours or anything like that. And I puzzled on this for a while, and then decided, well, because they're doing probably 90 to 95% of their journey on cycle paths, which as you can see are fully separated from the road, and there's absolutely no chance any of them are going to get to have any interactions with a driver for most of their trip, why bother? I mean, the only reason for wearing fluoro is to hopefully make yourself more visible to drivers so they don't run you down. And we're so used to that mantra being pounded into us in Sydney. And it's the same about, you must wear a helmet because it's dangerous. Well, as I did in a previous video, a third of people riding around casually in the middle of the day that I filmed the other day weren't wearing a helmet. Why? Because they were on a bit of safe, separated cycle infrastructure where you're not going to get a head injury from being struck by a careless driver, someone that's looking at their phone doing a TikTok thing or something like that. Okay, there we go, there's a couple of bright coloured people going by. How many other non-bright people have gone past? I have no idea. I have not bothered counting them, and I'm not going to bother counting them. But I think you get the drift. It's very rare to see someone over here dressing themselves up from head to foot. And I think part of the other reason is there's now a critical mass of people cycling around Perth. So what's happening is drivers are conditioned, I guess, to look for cyclists because there's generally so many of them about that they just know they exist, and they know that when they come to an intersection or whatever, they have to look for cyclists. Or when they're driving down the road, they have to look for cyclists. And that's probably more important than any other safety feature like lights, fluoro vests, helmets, and all the rest of it. Because it doesn't matter if you're lit up from head to foot, like a Christmas tree, and wearing the brightest, most reflective vest ever, and have reflective wheels and all that kind of thing. If a driver is not looking for you, they're not going to see you. you know, the eyes will see, but the brain just won't register, and they'll look straight through you. And I've actually had that happen to me. This was the first time I was hit by a driver. You know, I entered a roundabout. I was halfway around the roundabout. This driver came up from the left, stopped, actually looked at me, looked straight through me, and then drove straight into the side of me, with their passenger screaming their head off because she could see, you know, I was there and was wondering why her dad had just run me over. And you know, and he got out, and I had my lights on, and it was, you know, wasn't even dusk, etc. And he said, I just didn't see you. It's like, mate, I was, you know, 10 feet from you. I was 6 feet off the corner of your bonnet. You looked right at me. He said, I didn't see you. And look, that's a well-known phenomena. You can look up saccade and, you know, how this applies to motorcycling and cycling, that, you know, drivers just don't spend enough time looking for cyclists. Well, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of cyclists, I guess they do look for you because they know they're out and about, and they better keep an eye out for them. So, yes, if you have been counting how many cyclists have gone past, great, put it in the comments below. I have no idea. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 lots, and that'll do. And if you counted how many were wearing fluoro, good. Put that down there with a calculation of what the percentage is. I would say, you know, you'd be probably lucky to get to 1% from what we saw there. I don't know, prove me wrong. But I think it does come down to this case of you've got to build a critical mass of cyclists in order for drivers to start seeing you, so for the roads to become safe. And the way you build that critical mass of cyclists is you build the safe infrastructure, which gets everyone encouraged to come out, and you know, you end up in a virtuous cycle. So I guess that's what we need to look forward to in Sydney is, you know, you have to build a lot of infrastructure before the cyclists start to come out to play. And I guess there might be quite a lag period between one happening and the other. So, you know, I guess local government, state government may need to just accept the fact that there could be a significant amount of time between building a piece of infrastructure and seeing an increase in cyclists, because you may have to build a lot of it or an extensive amount of it, or make sure it all joins up before, you know, cyclists will feel comfortable to come out and use it. Anyway, so that was just an interesting thing. You know, I'll link to the video on helmets that I did, and just how many people are not wearing a helmet outside the peak hour. It was absolutely surprising, but I guess when you put the helmet issue or the non-helmet issue together and the fluoro, maybe a pattern is starting to emerge.